Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Gangi tursi nyerzunga tawa tamje pongwe se dambe chuni tunzebi gotam de la santa. Most venerable monks and nuns, moderator Pujing Sui, distinguished scholars, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thanks to organizer giving me this opportunity to share some of my view in this August gathering. Organizer has been told me to write a paper on distinct characteristics of Tibetan Buddhism, view of the three lineage of the Buddhism, Tibetan, Southern, and Chinese Buddhism. Actually, I have written quite long paper, which is in your hand, maybe. Since inauguration to this morning, which I heard, little bit I changed my view to my presentation. So I am not going to read my paper. I am not going to present this my paper. Just outline of the what is Tibetan Buddhism is I would like to share. Because since I am Tibetan Buddhist monk, of course, if you know how Tibetan Buddhism, teach, maybe you can understand the distinction of the Tibetan Buddhism is other than Saudi and Han Buddhism. So in this regard, almost similar with the previous speakers, I feel that Shakyamuni Buddha was great physician, actually, and at the same time he was the great engineer or architect of the mind. You know that physician doesn't have any authority to prescribe the medicine. Physician has to follow to the patient. For example, if some patient is suffering with the tuberculosis, need to prescribe the TB antidote. If someone is suffering with the cancer, need to provide the antidote of the cancer. And of course, if someone is suffering with the headache and diarrhea, so on, need to prescribe according to the disease. Likewise, I think Shakyamuni Buddha taught at different types of, antidotes. It is, I think, important. For example, we are in this hall, more than 300 people. Of course, we are all human beings. But our appearance, each and individual is different appearances. And likewise, we all speak. The way of speaking, the way of the rhythm and way of speaking is different each and everyone. If appearance is different, is way of saying or speech is different, why not different the way of thinking? This should be need to respect, I think. So therefore, Buddhism is diverse. It is the characteristic of, Buddhism. Therefore, you can see in the Buddhism, of course, Theravada tradition is there. Among Theravada tradition, there are 18 schools already occurred during the Ashoka, till the Ashoka period. And if you see the Mahayana, again there are Vaibhashika, Swatantrika, Vijnanvadin, Madhyamik. And in Vajrayana, again you can see action tantra, performance tantra, yoga tantra, higher yoga tantra, and so on. So of course need, because the people had different dispositions, different levels. According to different level, need to show the path, I think. So therefore, I think that Buddhism is very vast and deep. So whenever someone come to me and ask, please, Negi, teach me Buddhism, then I ask to the person that, because I don't have the clearance power. Shakyamuni Buddha has clearance power. He knows the level of the people, level of the trainees, and according to the level of training, he teach. But I don't have that power, that potential. So I ask those who want to know Buddhism, then I asked him, why do you want to learn Buddhism? What is your goal? What is your intention to learn Buddhism? If you want happy in this very life, of course there is some way. If you want to reborn in higher realm, in next life, if you want to achieve form realm, formless realm, or God realm, of course there is way, there is path. And if you want to free from this cyclic existence, if you feel that this world is full of suffering, you want to free from this cyclic existence, then definitely, of course, there is way, there is path, which taught by Buddha. And if your intention is practicing bodhisattva path, if you wish to help limitless being, sentient being, of course, there is bodhisattva path. And at the same time, if you want to attain Buddhahood in this very life, again, there is also path. So, what would you like? Why you want to learn Buddhism? Then according to the trainees, according to the person, I try to explain. And same time I told to my students, and of course those trainees, of course Buddhism is still alive. Okay? Four Noble Truth, Eight Popa, Pratitya Samutpat, and old Mahayana and Vajrayana tradition, whatever Buddha has taught, still we have that. We have that lineage. So it is up to you what kind of teaching you need, I ask. So in that context, if someone wish to have happiness in this very life, of course, yes, there are many ways to happiness life. So again, when we talk about happiness, again, we need to know that. What is happiness is? We need to find out what is suffering is. When we talk about the suffering and happiness, of course, according to Buddhism, our personality is constituted of the name and rupa. Our personality is not only the biological stuffs, not only the physical stuffs. Of course, mind is also there. In order to gain genuine happiness, we need to balance both on body and the mind. So Buddha has taught that. What is person is? Of course, person is 5 aggregates: form aggregate, feeling aggregates, perception aggregate, mind volition, and consciousness aggregate. Of course, among 5 aggregates, 4 are belong to the mind and mind volition part. 1 is only the physical part. So when we talk about suffering and happiness, of course, suffering of physical and suffering of mental, we need to know that. Without which, I don't think we can interpret Buddhism properly. In order to get physical fitness, so we need, like bread, we need clothes, we need shelter, we need vitamins, we need carbohydrate, and minerals, and so on. Not only that, we need yoga, exercise, many things to keep our body fit. Keep our body fit is not the happiness, genuine happiness or ultimate happiness. In this context, I can say that in this hall, we are physically fit. We all are physically fit. If you are suffering with the physical, definitely either we are in the hospital or in our house, in bed. We are all here. It shows that we are physically fit. But contemplate that, whether you are satisfied with your life. Are you happy? Then, if you are not happy, what is that? That is physical or mental? That is mental. So likewise, in order to keep fit body, so we need to keep mind fit, morality, concentration, and wisdom we need. We need to go parallel. Without which we can't get the genuine happiness. So when we talk about the mind happiness, then we need to think of that. What is the origin? What is the cause of mental distraction, mental problem? We need to think of that. I think most of Buddhist teaching is emphasized on the mental side rather than physical side. Sometimes I think that mental happiness is more powerful than physical, I think, happiness. Even sometimes our physical, requirements, when our mind dominate, it creates lots of trouble. For example, we need clothes. Without having clothes, we need cold. And we need, of course, AC and many things we need. Of course, we need shoe and so on. This is the requirement of the physical body to keep fit. But when mind dominate to your physical requirement, again make problem. For instance, my sandal is 2,000 rupees sandal. It is enough for me. But if my mind say, oh, you are professor, how it is possible to wear only 2,000? You need branded one, you need 5,000 one, this and that. If we follow that, there is no end of the craving. There is no end of the solution. So therefore, we need very much mind training, I think. So again, I am straying because of very less time. Okay, then I am not going to talk those who wish to have happiness in this very life. I think to them just keep meditation and relax and go to the theater and go to the supports. And these are, I think, okay to keep it in this very life. That is, I think, enough. If those who want to achieve next life in higher realm or good birth, to them need to practice generosity. You need to practice. In order to achieve good wealth, you need to practice generosity. In order to born in the higher realm, you need to practice the morality. If you want to become next life smart, handsome, and so on, you need to practice the patient. If you want to attain the form realm and formless realm, you need to practice the dhyanas. Then only way to achieve next life in form and formless realm. And if you think that this world is full of suffering, doesn't matter, I born in the God realm or form realm. Again, I have to come down to the earth. Therefore, these 6 migrants are full of suffering. In order to free from this cyclic existence, I want to, if you want to practice, of course, we need to follow the perfect Theravada tradition. We need to contemplate impermanence. We need to think of that this cyclic existence is full of suffering. We need to think of this body is unclean, impure, full of filthy. This our body, which we attach too much. If you look inside, what is there is? This is like a filthy creator machine kind of. whatever come to this body, everything change into the, impurity. This is the nature of our body. This need to be think, and need to be think impermanence and selflessness. If you do this practice, you will detach with this body, and during the death, why we reborn? We need to know that. Why we rebirth? Why we reborn again and again in the cyclic existence? Because of the craving, because of the desire toward our body, we get birth. Okay? During the death, no one want to die. Even someone is suffering with a chronic disease, he or she don't want to die, actually. I have seen many sick person who is going to die. I know that after 2 or 3 hours, he or she is going to die. But he keep expectation that, shall I live? Shall I means recover? Then I say, yes, you are going to recover like that. Means it shows that no one want to die. This force, this craving attached to our body is caused to reborn to the next life. If we did, during the death, if we die with joy or happy, without any craving, without any desire, I think cessation is there. When we again talk attachment to our body, that is one thing. Even someone, those who are suffering with the cancer, even someone wish to be die, he or she doesn't have any attachment toward her body, but he have attachment toward her phenomena, toward his wife or husband or kids or bank balance or property or many things. Because of this attachment toward phenomena cause us to the reborn in this cyclic existence. So we need to detach from self-craving and phenomena craving. So this comes through the practice of impermanence, through the practice of impurity, through the practice of selfness. With these, if you practice this, during the death, you will die with joy. Then there is no more rebirth. There is no more rebirth. Likewise, some of my friends ask, they are very like to reborn in the Amitabha Pure Land. Then I told them, to attain Amitabha Pure Land is very easy. I used to say to them, how easy? Just during the death, you need to visualize the Amitabha Pure Land. During the death, if you are oneness with the Amitabha, during your last breath, if you are contemplation, if you imagine of the Amitabha Pure Land, your soul will, your spirit will directly go to the Amitabha. Actually, last moment is very much important, I think. So this is what I can say according to Theravada tradition. They feel that, they think that this cyclic existence full of suffering. Therefore, in order to free from cyclic existence, they contemplate what I have mentioned before. But according to the Mahayana tradition, no. According to the Mahayana tradition, this world is not full of suffering. This world is the pure land. This world is the palace of joy. This world is suffering for those who born with the affliction, destructive emotion, those who born this universe through the destructive emotion, through the craving, ignorance, jealousy, and so on, to them, this world is suffering. This world is suffering for them. Because our cause is defilement. The result of defilement must be suffering. There is no question of the joy of this world. But Bodhisattva know that, Bodhisattva accumulate the merit. Always. Bodhisattva are compassionate one. Bodhisattva practice the 6 paramita. They are a meritorious person. Therefore, they don't have any physical problem. Physical problem comes from unwholesome action. Bodhisattva practice the wholesome actions. Therefore, they are meritorious person. To them, there is no suffering. And they are wise. They know the nature of this universe is illusory life, interdependent originated one. There is nothing inherent existence. This world is, of course, changing each and every moment, or the nature of this universe is like a, dream kind of. There's no such solid inherent existence. They know that. Because of their wise, then therefore to them there is no problem with the mind. There is no any suffering with the mind, because they know the reality of this world. If someone has good meritorious, if someone has no any physical problem, if someone has no any mind problem, why should they bother to free from this cyclic existence? To them, this is the world where they have to the work. Help to the needed people is their ambition. They never feel any sorrow. This is like a support person. To one boxer, they work very hard. Blood comes out, teeth broken down, still they are enjoying. When we see, it seems very troublesome kind of to them. That is the great joy. That is the great honor for them. Likewise, I think Bodhisattva, because of the meritorious action and the wiseness, to them this world is not full of suffering. Therefore, they pray. Jisit namka neighbor do. Desit dang ni negujo doe dungal sebra. Till space will remain. Sentient being will remain. Till sentient being will remain, I will reborn in this universe again and again in order to mother-like being, saved to mother-like being. That is their supplication. That is their prayer actually. They enjoy to reborn in this cyclic existence in order to benefit the being. This comes through the understanding of interdependent origination. Since beginning of this time, we depend on the, beings. Our happiness is come out from sentient being. That is, I think, very important to need to know that. Everything is interconnected, interdependent. I used to say my students, for example, when we are having cup of tea, we need to think of where does this tea come from? These tea leaves come from the tea bagan, where labor are working hard in sun and rain. And through their work hard, tea come to the market and come to your table. So you need to think of that. These teas come from the many people's hard work. If you realize that, when you see the poor people, when you see the labor, hard worker, your compassion toward will comes out by its own kind of. That's what we need. For example, this beautiful building, who built this? This is built by others. You are comfortably here living. This is built by others. We need to think of the depth of the other. We need to think of the other kindness. If we have such attitude, this I use to my colleagues also, because my profession is teaching, when I talk with my colleagues, I used to say that because of these students, you are calling a professor. Because of these students, you are getting salary. If you don't do justice with your classroom students, you are accumulating the unwholesome action. You never be success. You need to be very much honest. You need to think of your students, because of these students, you are knowing as professor of this university, that college, and this and that, right? So we, in that way, we need to apply everywhere, in office, even in the market, even I think need to think of these big agencies, if labor are not work, how they are, how their business will be success, So interdependent origination is very much important to think. Mahayana means, of course, interdependent origination are, of course, explained in the Theravada tradition also, but Mahayana tradition in conventional level also, in order to generate generate the compassion. So they emphasize interdependent origination very much. Actually, short of time. Otherwise, I want to explain little bit emptiness and interdependent origination. Anyhow, 3 minutes still more. So I want to explain little bit about the interdependent origination and emptiness, because I think that someone has maybe confusion about what is emptiness is. So I will give you the analogy. Actually, for example, when we see this paper, we see this paper like an inherent kind of, exists by its own nature count, right? When we see this paper, we think that this paper is inherent, its own kind of, but in fact not. You know, this paper is coming out from the tree, right? If there was no tree, there is no way to come this paper. Paper is come out from the tree. When we say paper is come out from the tree, of course, in order to grow the tree, we need earth. Without that, where you grow the tree, you need earth. Earth is not enough. You need the ocean. Without ocean, there is no moisture, there is no rain, there is no snowfall. If there is no snowfall, there is no rain, there is no way to come water. Water is coming out from the ocean. Ocean has big contribution to become this paper. Likewise, of course, sun ray need. Without sun, there is no way to ocean become a stream. So sun has contributed to become this paper. Likewise, we need air, we need space. All these 5 elements contribute to become this paper. You know, the paper is not inherent its own. It's come out from the 5 elements. If you back whatever is contributed by earth back to the earth, whatever is contributed by the ocean back to the ocean, whatever contributed by sun back to the sun, whatever contributed by the water back to the, what is remain there? Empty. Nothing. Of course that is empty. Interdependent is empty. Empty is interdependent. There is no such inherent existence, anything. Sometimes philosophers talk impermanent. To me, impermanent is a very difficult task to understand. You know, what is impermanent is? Whether the nature of impermanence is noneness. When we say arising, ceasing, what is the nature of arising? What is the nature of ceasing? Arising is look like a existence. Ceasing is look like a become noneness kind of. If that is the definition of impermanent, how then existence produced to the noneness? And how noneness produced to the existence? No way. If things is ultimately exist, then how it is disappear? How it become noneness? When we say arising and ceasing, whether there is between gap or not. If there is gap, then how it is possible to arising? Arising from gap is arising from noneness, nothingness. If something is not disappear, then how do you say arising? You know, impermanent is not easy. We easy way talk that, yes, everything is arising, ceasing kind of. To know proper impermanent, I think to know that all phenomena are illusion-like, dream-like, then we can able to explain impermanent also right way. Otherwise, there is difficult to explain an impermanent in general way. I think now question answer. So thank you for listening. Thank you.
好，我们非常谢谢 Campbell 教授给我们这么精辟的分析哈。他今天是比较随性，就是说想他谈他想要谈的，并没有按照那个论文集，所以大家可以参考一下他论文集的内容哈。不过刚刚谈的确实是蛮多有关于大乘佛教的一些思想哈。那因为时间的关系，所以我想，我们是不是就 open 2个 question 就好？好，请是。
Dear Venerable, I really enjoy your analogy about boxer when you're talking about the 6 parameters. My question is, when we in front of impermanence, how do we deal with or get along with impermanence in a more graceful way?
Yes, of course, since beginningless time, we attach to word, permanent kind of, we think that inherent kind. Therefore, not easy to grasp impermanent very easy way. Of course, gradually, if you contemplate, if you think again and again, if you once become familiar with, maybe then you will enjoy with the impermanence, Of course, we hold very rigid way. Therefore, we are suffering lots. For example, someone has said 1 month ago, someone abused you or someone maybe praised you 1 month ago. Still, you are holding rigidly, You think that, yes, only this morning, only very moment he and she abused me, kind of. We feel very much anger. In fact, 1 month is gone, There, whoever you abuse, he or she is changed, actually. Yourself is also already changed, There is no question to abuse or praise and this kind. If we have such kind of understanding, so understanding of impermanent will, give you the great joy, kind of. Same, this world is very much complicated, huh? Joy there, suffering will there. Happiness and suffering comes and down. If we have that understanding of impermanent, we take everything very easy, I think. So, yeah.
OK， 我们再 open 一个 question， 是王师请。
Bante, I enjoyed quite a lot your presentation, but I have to make a comment on what you said about dukkha of Theravada tradition, and I would like also to listen your comment on what I am going to say. I think about suffering, our understanding about suffering is sort of revealed in different layers. That one level, as I understand, is sanya vijnana level, that is the level of general sense perception. So at that level, you actually do not see suffering, and at that level you are attached to the sense perception, and sort of then you sort of have the desire of them, and at that level actually you have sort of joy in them, but there are negative results, because all this attachment is finally going to be a sort of suffering, then that we call asadhak, negative consequence. That is the sanya vijnana level, the ordinary sense perception. Other level is the moral level. That is what we call, that you see the impermanence, but still you are not going to be disappointed, because you see that there is a way that you can deal with this impermanence, dukkha. So then what you are doing is that you follow, okay, what is the way that you can approach with this suffering? Then, I mean, if you are a Buddhist, I mean, if you are looking from the Buddhist perspective, that you understand, okay, there is a moral way to deal with them. Though there is a way that you are, okay, now, okay, even though I see the suffering, I should not sort of desirous of that. I don't have these two things, attachment and detachment. Either I don't have either attachment or detachment. So this is called middle way. So that is the moral level.
Upeksha, yeah.
Upeksha level. And the third level is the perfect level. That is the enlightenment. So therefore, I think even in the Theravada traditions, so we are not always talking about suffering. So when you come to the second level, I should also say that we are clearly saying that, I mean, when you come to the second level, the path is the Eightfold Noble Path. So for the level, the moral path is the Eightfold Noble Path. So when you are talking about moral path, there is a Pali statement, Kemo Maggo Sovathiko Pitigamaniyo. Kema means protective. Pitigamaniyo means that you have to go with joy. Kemo Maggo Pitigamaniyo Sovathiko means comfortable. So this is a comfortable sort of protective way to deal with sort of suffering.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, definitely.
I would like to listen to you.
Yes, I agree with your comment. Of course, we Mahayana tradition also, we used to say that, because lack of time, I couldn't go through there, When we talk about suffering, of course, there are 3 types of suffering. Suffering of suffering, changing of suffering, all-pervasive suffering. Suffering of suffering is very gross level. This comes even in old religion. Suffering of suffering can understand everyone. Second, last 2-1 is the, I think, characteristic or special, seeing phenomena is, I think, Buddhist quality. For example, seeing impermanent, everything is, okay, I will explain second one, changing of suffering, This is actually mentioned many scholars before also. Changing of suffering means like those who don't have experience to fly, wish to be fly very much, when I will get to fly kind of, Okay, when you first board in aeroplane, maybe you will enjoy very much. You will happy very much. When you go to San Francisco, like 22 hours, then you will bore, So it means that whatever worldly joy we think, actually that is the suffering. No knowingly we think that is joy. But whatever worldly joy we think, that is actually source of the suffering. Take example for clothes or air condition, whatever it may be. That is changing. In order to know that changing of suffering, we need to know the realization of impermanence. Then only this compassion can come. If you don't have understanding of the impermanent nature of phenomena, there is no solution. As I mentioned before, someone has said me something 1 month ago. Still, rigidly, I am holding that, and I am facing lots of trouble, tension. My BP is going on because of knowing the impermanent. If I have that understanding, I need not to be bothered about what he or she said to me 1 month ago. Second one. Main one is third one. All-pervasive suffering one. Until and unless we have this body, there is no way to free from suffering. This is the root cause. Having this body is the cause of all suffering. Therefore, of course, I mentioned there was the tradition try to detach from this attachment toward this body. Therefore, they practice impermanent. Therefore, they practice impurity. Therefore, they practice that lack of selflessness. Through this practice, they become detached. So, therefore, no more their birth will be over, right? So, I think almost explanations are same.
OK， 好，那我们再次非常谢谢Campbell 教授他这一场这么精辟的演说还有非常生动的一些譬喻。那我们这个 session 就暂时到这个地方告一个段落，然后我们会 take 5 minutes break before next session's presentation。我们再次谢谢 Campbell 教授，谢谢。